Hello, what's up, guys? It's your boy E Double G, Mr. Eggy himself here, and I just wanted to make a little video here because Turkey Tom, my good friend, uploaded a video on his channel yesterday called Monkey Jones, the FBI theory, and basically I was a part of this video. I should not say that I didn't work on the video, but he had me in the video and he was talking about some things to do with me in the video. And so I just wanted to comment on a couple things. I felt like all the information came to a good conclusion, but there was just a couple things that I wanted to sort of clarify about myself and on my end. So if you want to go check out the video, it's a very good video. You should definitely watch all of Turkey Tom's videos. You should go smash all of his like buttons and his subscribe button and everything to do with that. But let me just go ahead here. I don't want to waste too much of your time on this fine day, on this fine Thanksgiving week. So let me just get into it here. So there was a point in the video when he was talking about me where he showed a picture of one of my tweets from May of last year where I mentioned being basically questioned by the FBI. And I was questioned on that particular day, on that May 15th or whatever it was. I think it was May 15th. The only reason why I remember the specific date is since I just watched the video yesterday. But anyway, but then he goes and he's talking about how I'd been questioned about my music, which also did happen, but that was back in January, I believe. And that was sort of a prolonged thing that went, I was questioned in January. I got hassled by the Canadian government. And then in like July, then the British government was coming at me. And then at the end of the year, then I had the German government coming at me. So basically, people thought that my music was, it was really bad with the German thing because that was sort of what he mentioned in his videos. Like, if any bad stuff happens, they're going to come at my neck, which pretty much was sort of what happened with the German thing. There was some guy in Germany who allegedly, he shot somebody, I guess. I don't know if he got convicted or what, but then they researched him and they had a playlist with 1,000 songs on it, but on this playlist was one of my songs on this list of 1,000 songs. And so then I had the German media, they were DMing me, and they're like, oh my goodness, this guy, you definitely did all this, and this is all your fault, and you need to come on the German news channels, and da-da-da-da. And I, of course, just told him to go kick rocks, because I'm like, you're ridiculous, you're out of control, you're crazy, you're stupid. But anyway, that was the whole music thing of 2019, which thankfully sort of seemed to not be, my music might not be the hottest popping thing in 2020, but at least I don't have to deal with that crap like I did last year. But anyways, it's a different thing. When I was talking about in May, the May tweets, which he showed a screen cap of for a second there, that was a whole other thing. And that whole other thing, I do believe, proves the theory that he was talking about in his video. So I'll just kind of run you through this because I never made a video about it, I don't think. I've talked about it on a stream and a podcast here and there. But so basically May of last year, I was sleeping, and my door was getting pounded. My door was getting pounded on, and I have a lot of door-to-door salesmen in my area throughout the year, so I never answer whenever anybody knocks because I'm not expecting company. You know what I mean? Ever. If anybody knocks on my door and wants to get a hold of me, they'll text me or something. So I knew I probably wasn't expecting anybody. So I waited, knocked a couple times. Then there was no knocking for a couple minutes, so I went to go take a peek to see is there anybody there. Didn't see anybody, but I did open the door, and a card falls down on the ground, and it's a card from the FBI. It's got the particular, the office, which was nearby, the agent's name, and it was investigator or something like that on the card. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is weird. And on the back of the card, which was blank, but he had written on, he said, call immediately when you see this, and had a phone number. And so I was a little worried that it was something to do with maybe one of my family members had been injured in something or something bad had happened beyond myself. So I went ahead and called the number. So I'm like, oh crap, this just worries me. I don't know if somebody needs what's going on. So I called up the number, and in a moment, a black SUV pulled up right in front of my house, and I hear, oh, we're still here. We're going around the block. Come outside. And I'm like, oh, what is this? I'm like, okay, okay. Well, what's going on? We're gonna find out. So I went out there, and there's an agent with a whiteboard, or not whiteboard, but a thing, paper with the backing, the board or whatever. Listen, I failed school, but I'm talking about clipboard, and he had a pen. He's like, I need to ask you a couple questions. Oh, okay. I'm like, well, but you never want to have the FBI at your house and saying, I need to ask you some questions, because you're like, oh, what is this about? Obviously, since I'd also already previously had the issues at the beginning of the year, so I'm like, oh, what is this now? Somebody did something, and I'm going to get just whatever, anyway. But no, it was actually entirely to do with the fact that they had footage of me in 2018 on a live stream watching some Elliot Rodger archive videos on YouTube, which hadn't been banned yet at the time. And that was the entire thing. That was entirely all what it was about. They're like, what is your connection with Elliot Rodger? You know, we've been following you. We watch all your social media. We're following you, and we're keeping track of everything you do. You know, what's the deal? What's your role? We don't think you are a killer, but we need to know why are you involved. Blah blah. I'm like, well, I mean, it's something. It's a piece of internet history, I guess, in a way. You know, it was like I never thought anything of it. I've been on 4chan since 2004. You know, when I was at my grandparents' house printing out anime pictures to print out and duct tape on my wall on their dial-up internet. You know, shit like that. I'm like, I never, you know. There was memes and there was, you know, it was a subject of interest. You know, I wasn't going on there and being like, yes, this is the best thing. I love when people are, you know, I love when crime happens. But it was just some shit that we were watching. You know what I mean? That's all it was. But that's what the whole thing was about. That's what the whole interrogation was about. They're like, well, do you have any contacts with anybody who planning to do a horrible crime like that? They asked me to like reprise my status or whatever in the quote-unquote incel community and like lean back into be like, oh, try to like lean hard into black pill stuff or whatever again to like up my credibility and then go in and like sniff around for them and like send them info. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. It's ridiculous. I made my decision to go this other way, you know, some years ago. Not that I spend my time shitting on people who have bad love lives or have bad, you know, social problems, which are exacerbated by our society. You know what I mean? I'm not going to shit on those people or turn on those people or whatever. And I've only ever disavowed, you know, illegal criminal things because obviously, I mean, that's not who I am to think that's good stuff. So, but anyway, so they basically were like, all right, well, if you ever see anything, if you ever see anybody online that looks like they're going to do something bad, here's our email, here's our phone number, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, I never would. If I saw somebody came up to me and they're like, oh, I'm going to do bad things, I'd be like, oh, you work for the FBI. Go away. You're a Fed. You're a bad person. You're trying to entrap me or entangle me, whatever, and I would be rid of them immediately, of course. But anyway, this example of what happened to me was not even the only one that I had heard of. There had been people who actually DM'd me after I tweeted about it, who were small, relatively anonymous accounts, but they had posted, you know, Elliot Rodger memes at some point in a certain time period, and then had also then had their tweets brought up to them because they didn't do YouTube. You know, I did YouTube, so my YouTube got brought up. I didn't make Elliot Rodger tweets or whatever, but they had made some Elliot Rodger tweets, and they were interrogated about it, and they mentioned this to me through DMs and stuff. These were relatively anonymous accounts. But with that being the case, you know, then that makes me say, you know, this lends ever more credence to the theory which Turkey Tom proposed that, you know, that Monkey Jones was basically wiped off YouTube because somewhere at some point someone in the FBI or someone in the government basically said anybody who talks about these type of people, get rid of it now because, I don't know, some people thought that they were very likely to, that's something that Turkey Tom had touched on, that Elliot Rodger stuff was untouched due to, you know, well, this was like a newsworthy event until Alec Manassian had said that he was inspired by it. And then now, even though I have nothing to do with this individual and I just happen to make a song that references this individual, people have still been mentioning what's going on with him, like in my DMs or in some of my live streams and stuff like that. And I know somebody had sent me something where there was like a headline of the lawyer or the judge or somebody didn't even want to release what this guy was talking about because he said it was so inflammatory and so likely to incite, you know, like impressionable people. So I guess, you know, with all this together, with the fact that my song referencing him has been banned from YouTube multiple times, the Prim Inc. video about me being blamed for an Oregon shooting back in 2015, which had over 1 million views, that got banned from YouTube at some point this year due to the fact that it had about 10 seconds of that song playing in the video since it was made right around the time that I made that song. So he was like, oh, he's working on music, you know, at the end of the video, and he played like just a small snippet, but that audio is basically marked for like, if you put that audio in anything, it's a ban, which somehow I've been able to still play it on my streams from time to time when I do concerts and live concerts and things like that. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. So yeah, I believe that if I had to guess based on what the agent had said to me at the time, just the things that happened with me in general, but then also just the Elliot Rodger-centric things that I'd heard since then, it just seems to me like the theory is accurate. It seems like it's an accurate theory, and I don't know, I guess the feds just consider this to be a hot button topic because, we're living in a country. I don't know all the stats for the other countries besides the USA, but I know in the USA, we're living in a country where unemployment is higher and higher and higher and higher. There's less relationships than ever. There's less sex than ever. Everything's so very split. Everything's so very very unstable right now in this society that maybe that just sort of ups the ante that there's going to be, or how you would ever phrase it. It's more volatile now than it has been maybe ever. I don't know. I feel like there's something, I don't know. Obviously, there's been a lot of bad things that have happened throughout human history, but as far as in the modern era, things are more unstable than they have been in a while. So I guess that just might be they're very afraid that there's there could be some powder keg situations out there, and so they're just sort of saying, get that out of here. And if you do happen to be talking or doing something with it, you're probably gonna have the feds on your case and saying, hey, don't be doing that because they're really tight on. And I know that I don't know how this might play into it, but I know that there had been some documents about Joe Biden's mission plan or whatever, and he said he was going to put a lot of money into the FBI to combat online harassment and things that were perceived as against women, which concerns me a little bit because obviously I think there is a line between outright praising criminal activity, which is they're totally against, understandably, and then if you happen to maybe be critical of certain things in our society which are unhealthy behaviors or unhealthy trends that might be considered to be that could that they might frown upon somebody criticizing, that could then get you targeted or whatever. But that's just kind of spitballing at this point, but I just wanted to mention that in regards to the video. I do believe that the theory is solid. We just don't know right now what type of operation is going on behind the scenes. I don't know. There's no open there's no open operation so and such or whatever about people mentioning verges with rage on the internet. So who knows what exactly it could be, but I think the theory is solid. So with that being said, that's just my little word about it here, I think, which is longer than his actual video, if I'm not mistaken. But you know how it is. I just kind of do my thing, how I do it. So I will leave a link to the video in the description here if you want to go check it out. Go smash his like button. But my idea, my thoughts is that, yes, there are certain memes out there which have been considered beyond the pale, and the feds will come at you, even if they're not traditionally hate speech or whatever they would, whatever. I mean, I feel like free speech in this country is kind of, neither here nor there at this point anyway. But, obviously if you're going around and doing some certain things that, what we might consider to be traditional hating on this or hating on that, just even mention these certain people now who have committed these crimes is, you're out of here pretty much. But all right, well, that's all I got to say right now. I'm planning on getting some more music, the legal music, out soon. And I'll be streaming sometime soon. Apologize, I've kind of been off the last couple days. I haven't been feeling the hottest. But it is what it is. Like I said, we're living in wild times, so I've been kind of feeling a little wild about this and that and the third thing. But we'll get back to it soon. All right, until next time, my friends, take care and goodbye.